Sir, you muted yourself.
Yeah, now
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you are able to listen now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, Arabic.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, in this session, I'm going to discuss about these four topics. What are the different modes of transportation available, and what are the differences between road transport and rail transport, and what is the rail alignment, and what are the different types of engineering surveys we need to conduct or we need to for 139 and 151. And please mute yourself. So we know that there are three modes of transportation available. There are water transport, land transport, and air transport. And the rail transport and road transport are come under land transport. Understand now? And okay, it means the subject which deals about the design, construction, maintenance, and operation of railway tracks and rail transport is called as railway engineering. And the subject which deals about the airports, it means the design and construction of airports and various components of airports like runway, taxiways, hangars, and all those things. This is called as airport engineering. And also the subject which deals about the design, construction, operation, maintenance of harbors, docks, ships, understand, and various components of harbors. It is called as harbor engineering. It means the subject which deals about the water transport is called as harbor engineering. Understand now? So these are the different types of transportation systems we are having, and especially the road transport and rail transport are come under land transport system. And we can see that compared to the water transport and air transport systems, road and rail transport systems are the somewhat convenient and their comfort. It means they can provide more comfort to the people in the sense of economy as well as in the sense of comfort. Understand or no? So you can see each mode of transport depending upon its various characteristics, they have intrinsic strengths and weaknesses, and they can be used. It means they can be used, and also they can be used in best way and also in better mode. And one more thing, the most important parameter of each and every mode of transportation is the maintenance of traffic. Understand? No? So that is the most important parameter we should consider. So coming to, so let me discuss about the differences between road transport and railway transport. Okay, now, and if if when we need to, it means when we have a necessity to compare the various aspects of road transport and rail transport, first of all we need to consider these aspects. First one is the track to resistance, right of way, cost analysis, gradient and curves, flexibility of movements, environmental pollution, organization and control, and suitability. So these are all the various aspects which are related to road transport and rail transport. And yeah, based on, please mute yourself, all of you. So these are the different features which we need to consider in the way while designing the projects, and also while when we need to compare the various features of the two types of transports, we need to consider all these aspects. First, coming to track to resistance. Track to resistance is nothing but the, it means the friction between the wheels of the vehicle and the route. Understand? No? So that is nothing but track to resistance. And when we take rail transport, it means there should not be any friction between rails and wheels, because the moment of steel wheels on the steel rails has the basic advantage of low rolling resistance. It means there should not be any friction between the wheels and the rails in case of railway transport. And but coming to road transport, there should be some friction between the wheels of the vehicle and surface of the road. Understand? No? So that is the main difference between the rail transport and the road transport. Why? Because coming to rail transport, it means they need low resistance, because coming to road transport, the tires which we are using for vehicles, they are pneumatic. It means they should require some amount of air to be filled within it. Understand? No? So that is the, so that's why we need to maintain certain friction between the road transport, and there should not be any friction between the rail transport, because here it means the movement of the wheel should be under the control of driver in the sense of road transport, but in the sense of rail transport, the movement of the wheels upon the rails, it is not under the control of the driver. Only the whenever it means the change of direction and also the speed control, and when we need to start and when we need to stop the journey. Understand? And only these things will under the control of driver of a train. Understand? No? So that's why the movement of steel wheels on the steel, it means steel rails, has the basic advantage of low rolling resistance. This reduces the haulage cost because of the low tractive resistance. And road transport, the tractive resistance of a pneumatic tire on metal roads is almost 5 times compared to that of wheels of rails. Understand? It means the tractive resistance, it means there is no need to maintain any tractive resistance in railway transport, but in road transport, the tractive resistance should be, it means it should be about 5 times more than the tractive resistance what we are maintaining rail transport. Understand? So this is nothing but friction resistance, that in railway transport we no need to maintain any friction, but in road transport we need to maintain certain friction between the vehicle wheel of the vehicle and the road surface of the road. And next one is the right of way. Right of way is nothing but the vehicle which are having certain right to move upon the particular route. Understand? And coming to railway transport, only trains are having right to move on the rails. And coming to road transport, if it means so many vehicles having right, it means public vehicles may travel upon the roads, and also some private vehicles may travel upon the roads, and also the citizens individual vehicle also may travel upon the roads. Understand? So you can see a railway track. Coming to railway track is defined on two rails. It means the coming to the components of railway track. A railway track contains different components, and the most important component of railway track is rail system, and also gauge distance. Understand? It means the vehicle which can have the particular gauge distance, and also the vehicle which can have the particular size of the wheels, which are it means which are convenient to move upon the rails. Understand? No? It means those trains only can move upon the particular rails or particular railway track. Understand? No? So a railway track is defined on two rails and is within protected limits. Trains work as per a prescribed schedule, and no other vehicle has the right of way except at specified level crossings. Understand? No? So only the particular vehicle or the particular train which have been designed to be, it means to move on the particular track, only that train or that vehicle only can travel or can move upon the railway track. Understand? And coming to road transport, it means there are no certain limits for vehicles to be travel on roads. Understand? Either flexible pavement, it means either tar road or either concrete road, whatever it may, any kind of vehicle can travel. Only the certain limitations are there, depends upon the weight of the vehicle. Only heavy vehicles cannot travel on the smaller minor roads. Understand? No? And other than that, any kind of vehicle can travel upon any type of road. Understand? No? You can say the roads, though having well defined limits, can be used by any vehicular traffic and even by pedestrian. It means the people who are walking also, they can travel upon the roads. Understand? No? But the people who are walking, they cannot travel upon the trains. So that is about right of way. It means in case of railway transport, only the particular vehicles, it means the specified vehicle also can travel upon the particular route or particular railway track. But coming to road transport, any kind of vehicle can move on the roads, and also the pedestrians also can move on the roads. And coming to cost analysis, like what is the expenses for the construction and maintenance of railway track as well as roads. Understand? No? It means you take railway track, the infrastructure of railway track is somewhat high compared to the infrastructure of a road transport, because railway track contains so many components, like it contains ballast, it means a bed of coarse aggregate, and also it contains a sleepers, different types of sleepers it may contain, and also it contains rails, and also it contains different fitting system. Understand? So these are the various infrastructure of railway track, and all these are the costlier material, and also they need some skilled labor. Understand? But coming to road transport, it means if you take a road infrastructure of a road, only road should be there. It means only pavement will be there, nothing other than that. Understand? No? So the construction cost and also maintenance cost for the railway transport is somewhat heavier than the same, like construction and maintenance cost of the road transport. You can see, owing to the heavy infrastructure, the initial as well as maintenance cost of the railways is high when it is compared to the rail transport. And the next one is the gradients and curves. What do you mean by gradient? Gradient is nothing but a steep or a slope. Understand? It means while traveling along a route, sometimes we needed to rise, or sometimes we needed to fall the route. Understand? No? It means you can see the, it means coming to the geological features or the surface of the earth. The surface of the earth everywhere may not be leveled. Understand? No? Sometimes it may rises, sometimes it may falls. So whenever rises and falls have been occurred, in that case we need to provide the route or the railway track with some slope. Understand? So the slope to railway track is called as gradient. In the same way, the slope wherever we need to provide for road also, it is called as gradient. Understand? And curves, it means whenever we need to change the direction, in that case directly we cannot change the direction with the 90 degrees or with whatever the route is there, with whatever the angle. Understand? No? We should provide certain curve with a particular radius. Understand? No? It means while we need to change the direction of railway route or road or highway route, we need to design at that particular route, at that particular place, like we need to consider so many aspects, and by considering those aspects we can design a curve. And also we can, it means the design of curve especially involves in the design of it means it means the selection of radius and dimension, sorry, diameter. The selection of radius and diameter is the is the only concept involved in the design of a curve or provision of a curve. Understand? Now you can see, coming to rail transport, the gradient of railway tracks are flatter. It means most of the cases the railway tracks should be flat. It means there should not be any rise or there should not be any falls. Understand? It should be leveled and it should be flat. And normally, if under some circumstances, it means under some exceptional circumstances, it means we at those circumstances definitely we should provide a rise or fall. Understand? In those cases, the slope what we are providing now, it should not be more than 1%. Understand? And the curves also have certain limitations. It means the curves are limited up to only 10 degree on broad gauge. Understand? Now, okay, these are the limitations of gradients and curves coming to rail transport. And coming to road transport, the roads are constructed normally with steeper gradient of up to 4% and relatively much sharper curves. It means for coming to road transport, based upon our convenient, we can have the, it means particular angles and particular diameter, particular radius we can have. And coming to steep or coming to slope of the road transport, we can, it means there is a provision up to 4%. It means up to 4% we can rise the road. Understand? Or we can rise the alignment. And the next one is the flexibility of movement. Flexibility of movement also related to the movement of vehicles. Understand? And also the change of direction. Because if you take railway track, upon railway track, trains can move, and that there is no provision for trains to take, not take U-turn. But coming to road transport, any vehicle can take U-turn, and also any vehicle can move in whatever the direction it can move. Understand or no? So that is the flexibility of movement. It means due to the defined route and facilitates required for the reception and dispatch of train, railways can be used only between fixed points. Understand? It means and coming to road transport have much more flexibility in movement and can provide door-to-door services. Next one is the environmental pollution. We know that every vehicle can move by using certain fuel, understand now? And by burning those fuels in vehicles, they can produce various kinds of pollutants into atmosphere. So, and railways also use various fuels like diesel or coal, and vehicle. It means the vehicles which are traveling on road like buses, cars, trucks, and lorries also, bikes, and also they can use certain fuels for to run. Understand now? So each and every fuel when they burn in vehicles, they can produce certain pollutants. And coming to rail transport, the railways have minimum adverse effect on the environment. It means compared to road transport, the amount of pollutants released by railway transport are somewhat minimum. Understand or no? And the road transport, they can create a huge amount of pollution compared to railway transport. And one more thing we should remember that the main, it means there are three major objectives of any transportation systems are there. The first major objective of any transportation system, or the first requirement of any transportation system is it should be economic. Understand that now? And next requirement is it should be safe and comfort. It means it should create safety and comfort to the passengers. And next one is the it should not create any pollution. Understand? If any transportation system is failed in any of these three aspects, we can say that transportation is the failure transportation system. Understand? And next one is the organization and control. Yeah, in the same way, the based upon the infrastructure and various components of a railway track, the operation and control of railway track is somewhat heavier than the operation and maintenance of road transport. You can see railways are government undertaking with their own organization. Yeah, they are. It means the railways have been. It means they have been undertaken by government bodies or then some private bodies, but railway transport contain its own organization, but road transport may contain its own organization or may not contain its own organization. But almost any kind of vehicle can move upon any type of road. Understand now? But you can see the bearing members start government transport. Government transport and road transport is managed by the private sector. It means the construction also, the railway construction also to be done by government organizations only. But the road like highways and road transport systems have been constructed by using some private contractors. Understand or no? And suitability, you can say the railways are best suited for carrying heavy loads and large number of passengers over a long distance. And road transport, they are best suited for carrying lighter goods and smaller number of passengers over a shorter distance. Understand? I know? Because in the sense of safety and comfort, to travel for long distances, rail transport is better, and to travel for short distances, road transport is better. And also in the sense of conveying goods, if we need to convey the huge amount of goods for a long distance, rail transport is better. And if you need to convey, and by using road transport we cannot convey goods, it means that much of goods what we are conveying through rail transport we cannot convey. It means we cannot transport through road transport. Only lighter amount of goods or lighter, it means some small amount of luggage only we can transfer, or we can transport through road transport. Understand? It means by comparing, by seeing all these aspects, we can say that in the sense of economy and also in the sense of flexibility, it means in the sense of economy, safety, and large distances, rail transport is best. But in the sense of safety and also in the sense of shorter distances, road transport is better. And one more thing, in the sense of flexibility, road transport is better. In the and rail transport is not better in case of flexibility. Understand now? So this is the comparison between road transport and rail transport. And in our subject, especially we discuss about railway engineering. In railway engineering, it means we have been discussed various components of railway track. Understand now? And also we have been discussed various fittings of railway track we have been discussed. And whatever the transport system, either road transport or rail transport, we have to lay a route first of all. Understand now? In case of road transport, we will construct roads, and in case of rail transport, we will construct a railway track. In both the cases, alignment is the most important one. Understand now? You can see alignment. Alignment of railway line refers to the direction and position given to the center line of the railway track on the ground in the horizontal and in vertical planes. It means if you take a railway track, it means always there should be it means there will be a railway track between 2 points or 2 stations. Understand or no? And the center line of the entire railway track is called as its alignment. Understand or no? So either in case of vertical direction or in case of horizontal direction, the center line of the railway route or the railway track is called as alignment. And horizontal alignments means the railway track which is in horizontal direction. It means the railway track which is flatter or which is leveled is called as horizontal alignment. And in case of ridges, it means in case of valley areas or hilly areas, sometimes it means we may need to rise the railway track, or we need to rise the railway route up to a certain distance or up to a certain height. Understand or not? So in that case, the alignment is called as vertical alignment. It means the direction in which we are providing railway track, and the center line of that railway track is called as its alignment. Understand or not? If the railway track is flatter or leveled, in that case the alignment of the railway track is called as horizontal alignment. And if the railway track is vertical or it has been rises or falls, in that case the alignment of railway track is called as vertical alignment. You can say horizontal alignment means the direction of railway track in the plan, including the straight path and the curves it follows. And vertical alignment means the direction it follows in a vertical plane, including the level track, gradients, and vertical curves. Understand or no? Okay. So the various factors affecting alignment and the types of track alignments and their suitability in different terrains are going to discuss it now. Okay. See, first one is the importance of good alignment. When we can say that an alignment is a good alignment, it means you consider two stations, like if you consider two places like Sikindrabad and Warangal, you consider we need to construct a railway line between Sikindrabad and Warangal. But whenever we need to construct a railway line between Sikindrabad and Warangal, first of all we need to provide an alignment, or first of all we need to select a route to construct a railway track. Understand or no? If we select the shortest route between the Sikindrabad and Warangal, then we can say that it is a good alignment. Understand or no? And also, if we select the route which is flatter, understand or no? So then we can say that it is a good alignment. And if we select the route which contains rises and falls throughout its route, we can say it is not a good alignment. Understand or no? It means the importance of it means when we can say an alignment is a good alignment, it means first of all it should be a shortest route. Understand or no? And it should be a flatter. Understand or no? And it should be economic in construction. Understand or no? So whenever an alignment is economic in the sense of cost, and whenever an alignment contains shortest route between 2 points, and whenever an alignment contains leveled or flatter route, so then we can say that alignment is a good alignment. Yeah, that is the importance of good alignment. It means if an alignment is a good, we can provide proper alignment, and we can construct various components of railway line easily, and also we can construct the railway track through the alignment with low cost. It means with the low expense we can construct. That is the importance of good alignment. You can see here, a new railway line should be aligned carefully after proper considerations, as improper alignment may ultimately prove to be more costly and may not be able to fulfill the objective. In the construction of railway track, it is costlier. It means it requires a huge amount of expenses. Understand? No? If we construct the railway track with improper alignment or with wrong alignment, what will happen? The route may, it means the construction may take long time, and also the construction cost may be huge, and also the distance and the time will also may require huge amount of time and a huge amount of journey it will take. And also, and one more thing, if we construct the railway track with the improper alignment, it is too much cost, it means after construction we cannot break it and we cannot make some other construction with proper alignment. It means it is highly cost, and it means the entire money will be wasted, understand or not? So that's why a new railway line should be aligned carefully after proper considerations, as improper alignment may ultimately prove to be more costly and may not be able to fulfill the desired objectives. So in that case, you see, railway line constructions are capital intensive projects. Once constructed, it is very difficult to change the alignment of a railway line because of the costly structures involved and difficulty in getting additional land for the new alignment and such other considerations. Understand? So that is the importance of good alignment. If alignment is not good, everything will be wasted. It means the construction time will be wasted and the money will be wasted, and also various aspects also will be. It means the land also will be wasted. So an alignment should be proper, and also it should be economic. It should be shortest distance between the 2 points, and it should be flatter. Okay, now so now we can see alignment. In this picture, a railway track is there. Understand or no? So in railway track you can see a center line is there upon through the railway track. Understand or no? So the center line of any railway track throughout its length or throughout its distance is called as alignment. Understand or no? And various lines have been plotted just beside the railway track now. So they are called as contour lines. I will explain later what is contour line and why we need to draw contour lines. It means while constructing a railway project. So railway alignment is nothing but the center line passing throughout the length of railway track is called as railway alignment. And you can see here railway alignment is there. In the center also some provision is there to expose the railway alignment. Understand? Or you can see this is the railway track. This also the center line or the center of the railway track is called as railway alignment. And this is also a railway alignment. This is a curved railway alignment. It means whenever we need to change the direction, directly we cannot change the direction of the railway track. By providing some curve, we can change the route of the railway line. Understand? So in that case, the alignment is called as curved railway alignment. And this is the vertical alignment, because in this case some rise and fall is there. It means in hilly areas we need to rise the route. Understand? So in this case, whenever the railway track has been constructed in vertical direction with some slope or some gradient, it is called as vertical alignment. This is a vertical alignment. So this is also vertical alignment. In this also the railway line have been constructed with some slope. Understand? So the railway alignment which are having slope, so then it is considered as vertical alignment. And the railway alignment which does not have slope, or the railway alignment which is flatter, it may considered as horizontal alignment. And you can see different requirements of an ideal alignment. Yeah, I told you now, an alignment is said to be good alignment, or an alignment is said to be an ideal alignment. It should be cheaper first. It means its construction cost should be low, and also it should be like a shortest distance between 2 points. And one more thing, it should provide safety and comfort. Understand or no? So they are called as it means those are the basic requirements of ideal alignment. And also different requirements are there. First of all, whenever we are started to construct a railway line, first of all we should do survey and we should predict a railway. It means predict the alignment. It means predict the particular route. Understand? So that is called as alignment. And an alignment is said to be an ideal alignment. In that case, we should know for what purpose the railway line is constructing. Understand? So that is purpose of railway line. It means different purposes may be there. Either politically some benefits are there now. So in that case we can construct a railway line, or either to develop backward areas also we can construct railway lanes, or to provide shortest distance between the two villages or two centers. Understand? In that case also we need to construct a new railway lane. And also whenever we need to connect two trade centers like two important cities or two important centers, in that case also we can construct railway lane. Understand? So these are the basic purposes of constructing a new railway lane. It means first of all to provide shortest distance between the two places, or next one is there may be any benefits regarding political, and next one is that to develop backward areas also we can construct railway lane. And next one is the it means to connect two trade centers or two important centers, we can construct new railway line. Understand? No? So first of all, before designing a railway line or before choosing a railway alignment, we should know for what purpose the railway line is constructing. Understand? No? And the next one, first one is the purpose we should consider, and after that we should consider the economy, how much cost it may require for constructing and for maintenance. Understand? We should consider, and the distance, it means we should provide shortest distance between the two points. And the next one is the what kind of safety we can provide and how much comfort we can provide. Understand? That is the one more consideration. And next one is next one is that through which location the railway line is traveling, or through which location the railway line is moving. Understand? So these are all the various requirements of ideal alignment. First one is the purpose for which we are constructing a railway line. We should have aware, understand and see the alignment of a new railway line should serve the basic purpose for which the railway line is being constructed. As brought out earlier, the purpose may include strategic considerations, political considerations, developing the backward areas, connecting new trade centers, and shortening existing rail lines. Understand? So it means for which purpose we are aligning a railway line, or we are considering alignment for a railway line. If the purpose is good and if the purpose is reasonable, then we can say that alignment is ideal alignment. Understand? So without having any purpose, if you make a railway alignment or if you construct a railway line, it will not be ideal and it will not be a good alignment. Understand? So the purpose should be better. It means the purpose should be reasonable. Understand? Next one is the integrated development. It means the railway line should develop the area through which it is passing. Understand? You can see a new railway line should fit in with general planning and form a part of the integrated development of the country. Understand? So if we are constructing a railway line, it should have a purpose, and next one is it should provide some development to the country or to the particular location. So that is the another requirement of a good alignment. And next one is the economic considerations. In the sense of economic considerations, the distance between the two points for which we are constructing railway line, it should be shortest route. You can see it is desirable to have the shortest and most direct route between the connecting points. The shorter the length of the railway line, the lower the cost of its construction, maintenance and operation. Understand? And there can, however, be other practical considerations that can lead to deviation from the shortest route. It means if the route between the 2 points is shortest, then we can say that alignment is a good alignment and it is a ideal alignment. And next one is the construction and maintenance cost. It means that the cost of construction and maintenance should be as minimum as possible. Understand? In that way only we can provide an alignment for a railway track. Understand? So if we can design an alignment in that sense, it means the cost required, it means the finance required for construction and maintenance, if it is as much low as possible, so then we can say that alignment is a good alignment or ideal alignment. Understand? So this is the another requirement of an ideal alignment. See, the alignment of the line should be so chosen that the construction cost should be minimum. Understand? It means the cost, the cost may included so many aspects of railway. It means so many aspects of construction like earthwork, minimizing rock cutting, and drainage provisions. Understand or no? And also various construction of railway track through various aspects of ground like some places valleys may be there, and some places hills may be there, and some places unexpected rises and falls may be there. Understand or no? So it means the railway alignment should, it means should be designed the cost required for the, it means the finance required for the construction as much low as possible. Understand or no? So then that is called as a good alignment. It means the maintenance cost can be reduced by avoiding steeper gradients and sharp curves, which cause heavy wear and tear of railways and rolling stock. In the same like construction and maintenance also in the same way that operational, it means the expenses required for operation also should be as low as possible. Understand? No? So then that alignment can be said as good alignment. Next one is the, it can provide maximum safety and comfort. Understand? No? It means whenever the passengers traveling through the railway line, understand, they should feel safe in the, and also they should feel comfort while traveling. Understand? No? It means safety in the sense of accidents or in the sense of their life, and the comfort in the sense of their health conditions. It means whenever they, they do travel or they do journey through a particular railway line, they should not get any issues, health issues, like they should not get any diseases. That is called as comfort. Understand? No? So the alignment should be such that it provides maximum safety and comfort to the traveling public. This can be achieved by designing curves with proper transition heights, and also with proper lengths and gradient, and also with proper vertical curves and gradients, and incorporating such as some other features. Understand or no? It means it should be safety and comfort. Different aspects of the railway alignment are different aspects of the railway track. And the next one is the aesthetic considerations. Aesthetic considerations means the location through which the railway track is moving. Understand or no? So that is called as aesthetic consideration. It means, say, while deciding the railway alignment, aesthetic aspects should also be given certain weightage. A journey by rails should be visually pleasing. Understand or no? So it means whenever the passengers doing journey, they should feel somewhat pleased, like by location. What it means, the view, the location through which they are passing, the surroundings should be somewhat beautiful and mentally pleasurable. Understand or no? This can be done by avoiding views of borrow pits and passing the alignment through natural and beautiful surroundings with scenic beauty. This is also somewhat, it means if the railway alignment have been done through beautiful locations, so we can say that alignment is also a good alignment. Understand now? So these are all the different aspects or different requirements of a good or ideal railway alignment. First one is the, it should have a particular purpose for which the railway line is constructing. And next one is the, it should be a shortest distance, and it should be economy in the sense of construction, maintenance and operation, and also it should provide certain safety and comfort. Next one is the, it should travel or it should pass through certain beautiful location. Understand? So these are all the various requirements of ideal alignment. This is the most important question, that what are the requirements of ideal alignment and what are the requirements of good alignment. And also the question may be asked like that, what are the requirements of a ideal railway track. Understand or no? So these are all the basic requirements of ideal railway track or ideal railway alignment. Okay, now it should have a purpose, it should be shortest distance between 2 points, and it means it should contain low economy for it means low economy, like for construction, maintenance and operation, and it should provide safety and comfort to the passengers, and also it should be move or it should pass through a certain beautiful locations. And next one is the selection of good alignment. Understand? No? So these are before we have been discussed. Understand? No? So they are the requirements of a good alignment. And next one is the topic selection of good alignment. It means how we can select a good alignment. Understand? No? So this topic somewhat required some technical aspects. You can see a good alignment we can select by using different aspects like by by choosing perfect gaze and by choosing perfect locations. It means through which it means the location through which it is passing. You can see normally a direct straight route connecting two points is the shortest and most economical route for a railway line. Understand or no? It means the railway line which is shortest, it is the economic, it is the most economical route for a railway line, but therefore there are practical problems and other compulsions which necessitate deviation from this route. Understand? No? So the various factors which involved in the selection of a good alignment for a railway line are going to discuss now. While selecting a railway line, first of all we should select the choice of gauge. Understand? No? The gauge distance what we can provide, we can say, and what are the different points or different aspects of ground as well as different aspects of environment which can oppose the construction of railway line. Understand? No? So like various factors may affect the construction of railway line. It means may affect the shortest distance. It means to provide shortest distance between two points, whereas points may affect or various points may disturb. Like so many things are there. It means somewhere we need to provide tunnels, and sometimes we need to provide bridges. Understand? And sometimes we can provide horizontal alignment, and sometimes we can provide vertical alignment. Understand? And also so many geological formation, like in some places the earth, it means if we need to provide a railway line between Hyderabad and Warangal, near Hyderabad the soil may be strong enough, but in between the Hyderabad and Warangal, at certain distance, the soil may not be that much strong enough. Understand? No? And after certain distance, the soil may be completely rocky strata. It may contain. Understand? No? So like that, so many geological considerations may be there. So many problems and so many issues will be there. Understand? No? So by considering all these things, environmental aspects, financial aspects, technical aspects, and geological aspects, understand? No? We can select a railway alignment. Understand? No? So the consideration of all these things will come under this topic, selection of good alignment. Understand? No? So first coming to the choice of gauge. Understand? No? It means the gauge which is suitable for the particular location, and the gauge which is suitable for the particular geological condition, and the gauge which is suitable for the particular quantity of goods or particular type of goods to be conveyed through the route or through the railway line. Understand? No? So based on these components, the choice of gauge will depend. Understand? No? It means you can say the gauge can be a broad gauge, meter gauge, or narrow gauge. It means we have been discussing three types of gauges are there: broad gauge, meter gauge, and narrow gauge. Okay, now. And as per the latest policy of the government of India, new railway lines are constructed on broad gauge only. Understand? Now, it means the choice of gauge also one of the important criteria while we are selecting alignment for a route. Understand? Now, it means the selection of gauge maybe depends upon the bearing capacity of the soil and also the purpose of the railway line for which it is making. And one more thing is that the provisions given by the particular government. Understand? In our India, the government of India have been suggested that broad gauge is the best option for our it means for our topographical circumstances, but also two more gauges are using in India. They are meter gauge and narrow gauge. You can see the gauge distance of broad gauge is 1676 mm, and the gauge distance of meter gauge is 1000 mm. It means 1 meter, and the gauge distance for narrow gauge is 762 mm. Okay, now so this is the first criteria, choice of gauge, and next one is the obligatory or controlling points. It means various topics or various concepts which can affects or which can be considered while choosing a railway alignment. You can see the obligatory or controlling points are the points through which the railway line must pass due to political, strategic, and commercial reasons as well as due to technical considerations. Understand or no? So various obligatory points are there. They are like the purpose for which it is considering. Understand? It means either for development it has been considered or no. Understand? No? And also it means what to say that some places may be bridges may needed to construct and some places may be river crossings may be there. Understand? No? So these are the various points we need to consider while selecting a good alignment. Understand now? So about this, you can see first one is the first one is the important cities and towns. It means through which the railway line is constructed. These are the most important towns, cities, or places which are of commercial, strategic, or political importance. Understand now? So if we need to construct a railway line between 2 points, what are the important cities, towns, and places are there in between the two places, and that alignment should cover all these towns, cities, and places. Understand? So this is the one of the requirement and one of the criteria involved in the selection of good alignment. Understand? No? And next one is the major bridge sites and river crossings. It means the construction of major bridges for large rivers is very expensive, and suitable bridge sites become obligatory points for a good alignment. Understand? No? So the river crossing and the places where bridge sites are needed now. So these are also need to be considered. Understand? And next one is the existing passes and saddles in the hilly terrain. It means the existing passes and saddles should be identified for crossing a hilly terrain in order to avoid deep cuttings and high banks. So this is also one of the important criteria to be considered while selecting a alignment of a railway line. And next one is the sites of tunnels. Understand? No? So some places through the railway alignment we may need it to construct a tunnel also. Understand? No? So this is the option of a tunnel in place of deep cut in a hilly terrain is better from the economical point of view. The exact site of such a tunnel becomes an obligatory point. Understand? No? So these are all the various obligatory points which we need to consider while selecting a rail alignment, like what are the important cities and towns are there, and where we need to construct bridges, and what are all the different passes and saddles are there when the railway line is passing through hilly terrain, and we need to select certain sites for to construct tunnels. Understand? So these are all the various obligatory points, and all these points we need to consider while selecting an alignment for a railway line. Next one is the topography of the country. This is the most important one. The topography of the country may be plain terrain or maybe somewhat zigzag terrain, like it may contain somewhere it may contain hills, or some places it may contain valleys. Understand? No? So you can see plain alignment in case of plain terrain we can provide, and vertical alignment or some gradient alignment we can provide in case of valleys or in case of hills. Understand? So when the topography is plain and flat, the alignment presents no problems and can pass through obligatory points and it have very easy gradients. Understand? And when the alignment is not plain, it means when the alignment should be provided through hills or valleys, the alignment of a railway line is to be provided as simple as possible, and also it does not pose any problem. And if two control points lie in the same valley, a straight line is provided between these 2 points with a uniform gradient. Understand? So these are the topography of the country is also one of the important consideration to be taken while selecting a good alignment. And also various geological formations, like the bearing capacity of the soil throughout the railway line we need to consider, and geometrical standards, like whenever rises and falls are there, and whenever we need to change the direction, we need to provide certain gradient, curve, super elevation, and all those things. Okay, now so all these things come under geometrical standards, and the bearing capacity and the variations of bearing capacity of soil throughout the railway line at various points come under geological formation. Okay, now so all these things we need to consider. Next one is the position of roads and road crossing. It means whenever we are constructing a railway line, and also some highways or some roads may cross the railway line. Understand or no? So in that case, the it means the railway line and the road should cross each other with right angle. Understand or no? Or with perpendicularly they should cross with each other. So in that case only we can avoid accidents. And next one is the proximity of labor and material. Okay, na? And the availability and proximity of local labor and material also one of the consideration to be taken when we are selecting an alignment. And next one is the location of railway stations and yards. This is also one of the important consideration we need to take when we are planning an alignment. Understand? It means at which place we need to construct a railway station, and at which place we can provide a railway yard. Railway yard is nothing but the place where we can load or unload the goods. Understand? No? Where we can load the goods into the train, or where we can unload the goods from the train. It means those places are called as railway yard, and the place where passengers can get up into the train, or where the place where the passengers can come out from the train, they are called as railway station. Railway yard is nothing but the place where we are loading or unloading the goods into the train or from the train. That is called as railway yard. Okay, now so the place where we can construct railway station and the place where we can provide railway yard. So these two are also one of the important consideration we need to take while designing or planning an alignment. Okay, now so and one more thing is that religious and historical monuments, like some historical monuments may be there, or some religious aspects may be there, like temples, church, and mosque. It means masjids may be there. Understand? It means if they be or if they present across the railway alignment, we cannot avoid them or we cannot break them. Understand? So in that case, we can avoid those religious and historical monuments, and then in that case we can change our alignment, or in that case we can change our direction. Understand? No? So the historical and religious monuments is also one of the consideration to be taken while selecting a railway alignment. And next one is the political consideration. Yeah, politically also some problems may be there while selecting alignment or while selecting a route for railway alignment. Understand? No? It means see, the alignment should take into account political considerations. It should not enter foreign soil and should preferably be away from the common border areas. Like yeah, it should not also enter. It means if you need to construct a railway line between 2 points, in that case the selection of alignment and also in that case the selection of route also may involve in different political aspects. Understand now? So all those things also we can consider while selecting alignment. Understand now? So these are all the various considerations we can take while selecting an alignment for a railway line. Understand now? First one is the choice of gauge, and next one is the various controlling points, like what are the cities and towns are available throughout the route, and the sites which demand bridges and river crossings and passes and saddles through hilly terrain, and the sites required for tunnels. Understand? So these are all the points we need to consider while selecting an alignment. And also next consideration is the topography of the country. Either the terrain is plain or either the terrain is non-plain. Understand now? And next one is the geometrical standards, like where we need to provide gradient, curve, super elevation, and where we need to change the direction. All these things we can consider. The geological consideration means the bearing capacity of the soil throughout the railway line may change from place to place and from point to point may change. Okay, so that one also we need to consider. And next one is the position of roads and road crossings we need to consider. And next one is the availability of labor and material at that particular location. And next one is the location of railway stations and railway yards we need also to be considered. And next one is the availability or the presence of religious and historical monuments. Okay, and next one is the various political considerations we need to take. Okay, so these are all the various aspects we need to consider while selecting an alignment for a railway line. Understand or no? Okay. So this is about railway alignment. Understand or no? So railway alignment is nothing but the center line of a railway track is called as railway alignment, and a railway alignment should be economic for construction, and it should provide safety and comfort to the passengers who are traveling, and it should be a shortest distance between 2 points. So then
Sir?
the talent, yeah,
Time is up, sir.
time is up.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sir.
wait.
It's been 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Sir.
yeah, wait for 2 minutes. I will take attendance and then you can leave.
Only lunch time.
3 minutes,
Wait
sir.
for,
12:33. It's been.
yeah, please wait for 2 minutes. Yeah, guys, you can leave. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, or if you want to share anything, you can share. Or otherwise, you can leave.
Okay, sir. Thanks for the session, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.